G'day guys, how's it going? My name's Big Pop, and today we're doing some battles in the Open Master League. We're using a Groudon, Lugia, and the star of the show, Zekrom, to hopefully pull off some wins and do some nice plays. I had a lot of fun with this team. There were so many games where we won by 1 HP, so please like and subscribe, and let's get into the video. Jumping straight into the first match, we have Groudon into another Groudon. Not bad being in the mirror match. My Groudon doesn't have the best IVs, so I probably will lose CMP, so just gonna keep farming up and try and bait with the Fire Punch. They win CMP, so we'll see what they throw. It's just the Fire Punch, we call the bait, and we go for our own Fire Punch. Let's see if they shield or they don't. They throw up a shield, which is brilliant for us. We're going to keep farming up, and now we should be able to beat them to Precious Blades. But we make a quick switch into Lugia, hoping we catch the Precious Blades. We catch! That does minimal damage to Lugia, and they switch into Dialga. We don't really mind the switch into Dialga. It's a bit of a soft counter to Lugia, but if we land the Aeroblast, plus all this Dragon Tail damage, we can take switch advantage. We shoot up the Iron Tail, which is unfortunate that wasn't the Draco Meteor, and we full send the Aeroblast. In comes Aeroblast, lands on Dialga doing huge resisted damage. I can't believe how much that does. We keep Dragon Tailing away, and we're going to start up the second shield, as to win shield advantage. It's just the Iron Head again, and we should be able to Dragon Tail all the way down. We have a Sky Attack loaded. In comes Kyogre. We actually get to another Aeroblast. Just Aeroblast City today. In comes Aeroblast. They gets the shield, so now we're in an even shield scenario, and we have the perfect counter to Kyogre. The Kyogre... Zekrom is pretty much John Wick to Kyogre, and it kind of works out perfectly because he's in the all black, he's looking slick, and he's a badass. So we're going to keep farming up. They switch into Groudon. We counter switch into our own Groudon, and we full send the Precipice Blades. Pretty much like an Earthquake, or more powerful than an Earthquake, I should say. So we're not really afraid of anything the Groudon throws, because we're simply going to be able to Dragon Breath down with the Zekrom, and have loaded energy for the Kyogre. We throw the Precipice Blades. This will be doing absolutely huge damage to the Kyogre. We get the Whale. Down goes Kyogre. Good game. Hopping into the next one, we have Groudon into a Kyogre. So obviously this is a really bad lead. Groudon gets absolutely demolished by Kyogre, so we make a quick switch into Lugia, and they counter with Giratina. Obviously this isn't much better, but our Dragon Tails actually do dig into that Giratina quite well. Unfortunately they bait us with the Omnis Wind, but luckily no boost, so you got to think on the bright side. Glass half full, and we send off the Sky Attack. That gets the shield. We're able to reach a second Sky Attack. This will be putting on some serious pressure for them to shield. They don't shield, so now we're in a good position to keep doing the Dragon Tails, shield up, and take switch. In comes the Shadow Ball this time. We should be able to Dragon Tail all the way down. Lugia is so dangerous as a safe swap. Honestly, the best safe swap I think I've ever used. It's able to flip so many matchups. There pretty much isn't a matchup it can't flip. With shields, I should say. Anyway, in comes Kyogre. We're only expecting the Surf here. In comes Earth. We hang on. Can we get to a Sky Attack? Unfortunately not. Lugia goes down. But now, in comes John Wick. In comes our Zekrom. We're going to farm all the way up to the Crunch, make a quick switch into Groudon, and can we get to the Precipice Blades? Unfortunately not. I'm hoping this isn't a Draco Meteor. They did have some good amount of energy. In comes the Draco Meteor. That's okay. We're going to farm up to about 1 Crunch and a half. Throw this Crunch. Hopefully we can take out the Dialga in time, and then have loaded energy for the Kyogre. Down goes Dialga. In comes Kyogre. We should be able to easily hang on here, having a 4 times resistance to water. We get to the Fusion Bolt. In comes Fusion Bolt. This will be taking down Kyogre like Zeus's Lightning Bolt. In comes Fusion Bolt. Down goes Kyogre. Good game. Moving on into the next one, we have Groudon into another Groudon. So we saw this mirror match before. It really depends on baits, but they make the quick switch into a Gyarados. We have a kind of good counter in Zekrom. Unfortunately, it doesn't have a good electric fast move, which would make this matchup so dominating. So we are actually doing super effective damage to us. We're doing neutral. We actually unfortunately get some lag, but we're able to get to the Crunch. That gets a shield. Unfortunately, I would love to get rid of that Gyarados. It's a serious thorn in my heel. They're going to be throwing the Crunch with super effective damage, so we'll throw up the shield. They keep farming up some energy. We're going to try and overfarm here and come out, but unfortunately they get to another charge move. We're hoping it's just the Aqua Tail. It's the Crunch though, and we Dragon Tail down. We're in a bit of a tough position here. We're down shields. In comes the Aeroblast. Can it land? It lands, but unfortunately they have a very tanky beast in their own Lugia. We're both Dragon Tailing away. We switch into Groudon. This matchup isn't that great either. The Sky Attacks do a nice amount of damage to Groudon, and our Fire Punches barely do anything. They get through the Aeroblast, so that does huge damage to Groudon, but we hang on, and they switch into Groudon when we weren't looking. We throw the Fire Punch. Unfortunately, we could have thrown the Precipice Blades if we farmed up a bit more. In comes the Fire Punch. Down goes Groudon. In comes Lugia, and we have a bit of a tall task here. They still have a shield, their own Lugia, and a very healthy Groudon versus our Lugia. We're just going to play this out, see what happens. It's not looking the best, but we never quit. We keep going to the end. We throw the Sky Attack, hoping to get a shield. They don't shield up. They get to another Fire Punch. This will put us almost into the red, I believe. In comes the Fire Punch. Yeah, just about into the red. Back comes in Lugia. They have more health in the shield, so this game looks like it's over. In comes Sky Attack though. We do get the shield. Can we get to 2 Sky Attacks? Maybe that would be a win con. I don't think so though. In comes Sky Attack number 1. Almost takes out the Lugia. If we could have Dragon Tailed all the way down, we could have come out with a loaded move and maybe won. But good game to that opponent. Jumping into the next one, we have Groudon into a Garchomp. So we don't really mind this matchup. What are they running? Oh, they're running, what was that? Dragon Tail. So that's kind of good. They're very slow to get the charge moves, and I know a lot of Dragon Tail Garchomps are running a double ground moveset, so we could make a switch into Lugia and catch, which we attempt to do. Did we catch an Earth Power? That would be so good. It's just the Sand Tomb, but that pretty much heals Lugia. So they switch into Dialga, and as I said earlier, I don't really mind this. Lugia can flip switch against Dialga if we shield correctly. It's just the Iron Head, so we call the bait. We're going to keep farming up. One more Dragon Tail, over an Aeroblast, and I'm really praying this lands. In comes Aeroblast, it lands. 2 more Dragon Tails, and down goes Dialga to the Shadow Realm. What's going to come in next? Our Lugia has very little health. It's the Groudon, it's the Garchomp, and they take us out with a Dragon Tail. So we can come in with the Zekrom here and Dragon Breath away. We just wait for the switch timer. We're Dragon Tailing away. Dragon Breathing, sorry, they're Dragon Tailing. We throw out the shield. We correctly shield the Earth Power, so that's huge for us, and we're going to try and farm all the way down. Unfortunately, we're unable to get all, the complete farm down, so we're just going to risk it here. It's just the Sand Tomb. We quickly switch into our Groudon, and they have a Kyogre in the back. We're going to go for the Fire Punch bait. Hopefully this gets the shield. It doesn't get the shield. We throw the Precipice Blades. We're praying they no-shield this as well, hoping we get for a double bait. They don't shield it. That's massive. We mud-shot down the Kyogre. Groudon's mortal enemy. In comes Zekrom. 2 more Dragon Breaths. Down goes the Garchomp. Heading to the next battle, we have Groudon leading the whole time against the Kyogre. Nightmare lead. Groudon hates Kyogre, so we safe swap into Lugia, hoping they safe swap into something Lugia can handle. It's a Togekiss. We don't really mind this matchup, although I love this matchup when we land the Aeroblast. It just does such nuke damage. Does massive damage. Takes them all the way down to the red. Togekiss has pretty good bulk, and now we're in a pretty good position to shield up the Ancient Power, which would do super effective damage, and hopefully get to another Sky Attack. We'll see if they commit the shield. They're in a position where they could charm us all the way down and come out with energy, so yeah, they do shield, and I think they're going to attempt the charm down, but we might reach another Sky Attack before they reach the move. We overfarm, so we're going to throw up the shield, hopefully Dragon Tail the Togekiss all the way down, and come out with a good amount of energy. We Dragon Tail down, we Dragon Tail the Fairy down, they come in with Kyogre, and we're going to full send the Aeroblast. Come on Aeroblast, it lands, does absolutely huge damage to that Kyogre, shows it who's boss, and we have the perfect counter for Kyogre. Zekrom, the electric boss. I love Zekrom, I'm so glad I invested in it. I've had opportunities to invest in other legendary Pokemon, but Zekrom was one of those ones that I had to invest in, seeing as I was a kid when Black and White came out, and they have such nostalgia value, plus Dragon Electric is such a cool typing. It's just awesome. Anyway, back into the commentary. We try and Precipice Blades the Dialga, but they call the bait. Can we get to another Precipice Blades? I'm loving Groudon. It's my absolute favorite Pokemon to use at the moment. We devastate the Dialga. Down goes to the Shadow Realm. Back comes in Zekrom, and it can handle this like a boss. Down goes Kyogre. Good game. Zipping into the next one, we have Groudon into a Togekiss. So this isn't the best matchup. Obviously, they resist our big nuke move, and we can only do damage with our bait move, and our fast move is pretty much obsolete. But these Fire Punches do dig in if they no-shield. We're also able to span these out like at a rate of knots. Absolutely, it's like Rocky Balboa throwing punches. Just Fire Punch, Fire Punch, Fire Punch. In comes the second Fire Punch. They're already into the yellow. We do not have to worry about the Ancient Power. Praying it's not a Flamethrower or an Aura Sphere now. We throw another Fire Punch, so we're at the third Fire Punch. A trio of Fire Punches, I should say. It actually gets a shield, so we're at a shield advantage here. We almost get to a fourth Fire Punch, but that's okay. We'll come with Lugia. Obviously, Zekrom is the electric typing of Fusion Bolt, but we don't want to take that charm damage on the Dragon. So we'll come with Lugia, we'll do resisted damage, and just try and get to these Sky Attacks to finally take out that pesky Togekiss. In comes the Sky Attack, takes out the Togekiss. In comes Landorus. This is a bit dangerous, but we are at a shield advantage, which is really fortunate, because their Stone Edges absolutely obliterate Lugia. Even though we're tanky, it does... You know, Landorus's attack is just through the absolute roof. It's something you really need to watch out for. Anyway, they switch into Metagross. We're going to no-shit on the Meteor Mash, calling the bait. We get to the Crunch. This should do some huge super effective damage. Zekrom has a huge attack stat. We get the shield. Can we get the debuff? I didn't quite see a debuff. It's just unfortunate, but we're going to farm all the way up. We should shield this time. We'll see what I do. We don't shield. We get Earthquake. That's unfortunate. We come with Lugia, and I think we're hoping to get to one Aeroblast and then farm the Landorus down. In comes the Aeroblast, does massive resisted damage to Metagross, sending it into the Shadow Realm. In comes Landorus, can we beat them to the Sky Attack? Fortunately, we have a shield, which is our saving grace. In comes the Sandwich that would have KO'd. We keep farming, we try and get them to a range where we can one-shot them with Sky Attack. In comes the Sky Attack, does huge damage. 1, 2, down goes Landorus, good game. Keeping things moving here, we have Groudon into a Zacian. So we don't really mind this matchup. I do prefer if they're running Wild Charge, obviously, over Play Rough, which would do neutral damage. So we're just going to go straight for the Precipice Blades. I normally don't bait in this matchup, I just go straight for the nuke. I have mixed reactions, some shield, some don't. So my inclination is just go for the big move. What are we expecting here? It's the close combat, so that would have done a good amount of damage. We could have tried to swap in between those moves into Lugia, take resisted damage, but we just stay in, absorb both of those and see what they send in next. They switch into the Yveltal, which isn't a bad matchup for Zekrom. Our Dragon Breaths are doing a nice amount of neutral damage. We can get to these Fusion Bolts, which will absolutely devastate, and we actually can tank those Dark Pulses pretty well. We can take 2. So in comes the Fusion Bolt. I'm hoping to one-shot. We get the shield though, we're at a 1 shield advantage. Zekrom's doing its job. We're going to shield up again, get to another Fusion Bolt, and then take switch. So can we get to another Fusion Bolt before that Snarl is just too spammy, unfortunately, so I should have saved my shield. And then just come in with Lugia, maybe Dragon Tailed all the way down and use the shield, had energy. But unfortunately, you live and you learn. Regardless, back in comes Groudon. We Fire Punch them. We make a quick switch. They switch into Zacian. So now we just need to hang on, hoping they don't have Wild Charge, hoping for Play Rough. It's Wild Charge, unfortunately. Can we get to the Aeroblast? I think no. They'll get to second Wild Charge, so we're just going to send the Sky Attack. Does a huge amount of damage. We're Dragon Tailing away, doing very minimal damage. Obviously, Lugia is going to go down here, so we're hoping to get off a Fire Punch and then farm down with Mudshot on the Yveltal, which is very unlikely, to say the least. We Mudshot down. We have a good amount of energy. In comes the Precipice Blades. They have no shield, so this will be doing huge damage. Almost one-shots the Dialga. In comes Yveltal. Can we Mudshot down the Flyer? Not quite, but luckily Fire Punch doesn't take much energy. In comes Fire Punch. Down goes Yveltal. Good game. Hopping into the next one, we have Groudon, again into a Kyogre. So this is a horrible lead, but this team proves time and time again that it can flip switch and win bad situations. We switch into Lugia. In comes good old trusty Dialga, and we know what to do here. We just full go for the Aeroblast. Rarely do they shield. It's very unfortunate they shield. They shield this time, which is unfortunate. No attack boost either. But we know what to do. We're just going to shield up, keep Dragon Tailing away. We correctly shield the Draco Meteor, which is huge. Now their attack is greatly reduced by 2 stages. Their Dragon Breaths are doing significantly less damage, and we have a lot less fear about this Iron Head. We hang on with a great amount of health. We get to the second Aeroblast, but we're going to throw Sky Attack bait. Hopefully they call... Oh, no, we throw the Aeroblast. Down goes Dialga, and we actually get the boost. That's huge. These Dragon Tails are digging into that Giratina. Plus, we get to a Sky Attack. Lugia is the absolute... Just an animal, honestly. I'm so glad I invested in it, and I hope you did too. Anyway, in comes Groudon. We do have a shield to expend. We're going to call the Ominous Wind bait. Did we call it correctly? No, we didn't, but we're able to hang on through that Shadow Ball like an absolute champ, Rocky Balboa style. We go for the Precipice Blades. This will be doing huge damage. Down goes Giratina. What have they got in the back? It's that Kyogre, and they back out. Good game. Hopping to the next one, we have Groudon into a Mewtwo. So obviously this lead is a little bit bait dependent. They get to their Side Strikes every 5 Psycho Cuts, so they're extremely spammy. But if we can land a Fire Punch, we're easily able to get to the Precipice Blades, and hopefully they no shield. In comes the first Side Strike. We shield that up. They get to a second Side Strike, which is just insane how spammy Mewtwo is. We're going to go for the Fire Punch bait. Hopefully this gets a shield. Come on, Mewtwo. Shield. Come on. We get the shield. Now we're able to get to that Precipice Blades because they called... we threw the bait. They didn't call it. In comes Precipice Blades. Devastates the Mewtwo. In comes Giratina. Can we reach a second Precipice Blades? We do. Come on, Groudon. Go, you good thing. In comes the second Precipice Blades. Gets the shield. Now we're at an even shield scenario. And we do have an okay counter in the back with Zekrom. So they fired off the Shadow Ball. We're able to get to another Fire Punch. So we just do a little chip damage. You know, you gotta do all the damage you can. There's a nice little sliver of damage off that Giratina. In comes Zekrom, and we're hoping to survive a Shadow Ball, get to the crunch, and take out Giratina. In comes Dragon Pulse. This actually does massive damage. They have a Melmetal in the back, so this is a bit tricky. I think we can just switch into Lugia. We can take a few Rock Slides. They're running Thunderbolt, so a bit spicy. I see you. We're going to try and get to the Aeroblast and do a nice amount of damage to the Melmetal, and then we'll come back in with the Zekrom and farm up. Because Superpower doesn't do too much damage, nor does Rock Slide. So we can get them low enough and farm down. We'll come out of that matchup with boatloads of energy. Come on, Lugia. We're not quite able to reach another Sky Attack, but that's perfectly fine. In comes Thunderbolt. Can we... Oh, we farm up. We have lots of energy. Can we tank a move here? In comes Superpower. We can't tank that. Good game. Hopping into the last couple of matches here, we have Groudon into Zacian. So as I said earlier, this matchup's a lot better when they're running Wild Charge instead of Play Rough. Obviously because that's resisted by Zekrom, not so good for the Lugia, and much better for the Groudon. Anyway, we take that charge move, we're going to go straight for the Precipice Blades. They get the shield, I wish that landed. I love seeing when Precipice gets no shield, it's so satisfying when that big red thing comes out the ground and just one-shots things, it's so good. Anyway, we're just going to go straight for another Precipice Blades. Can this get no shielded? They shield, so now we're at a shield advantage. Unfortunately, neither of our Pokemon in the back have a super effective fast move against Zacian, so we can't effectively farm down. But we get to the third Precipice Blades. It's so spammy, so good. Let's go. Finally it lands. Third time's the try, as they say. In comes Lugia. We do have a pretty good counter for Lugia in the back. I know Lugia wins against Zekrom in the 2 shield, but Zekrom in the no shield can reach a Fusion Bolt and do absolutely huge damage. And obviously we're not at all threatened by Aeroblast or Sky Attack because it is resisted because of our electric typing. So in comes Aeroblast, does a pretty good amount of damage, but they're forced to switch out, and we have a pretty good counter for Dagger in the back, being Lugia. Obviously the Draco Meteor and Iron Head do a good amount of damage. Draco Meteor, yeah, gets us into the red, but their Dragon Breaths aren't, Lugia is a bit more resistant to that Dragon Breath pressure like most other Pokemon. It's able to hang on and get off charge moves and do massive damage to Tiago, the Steel Dragon bully of the Master League. Anyway, we get to a Sky Attack against this Lugia. This will do a nice amount of chit damage. Yep, does a nice amount. We come with the Zekrom. We reach the Fusion Bolt. In comes Fusion Bolt. This will be doing massive damage to the Lugia. Let's go. Down goes Lugia. Good game. Thank you all so much for watching. I had an absolute blast with this team. I definitely recommend investing in the Zekrom. It's well worth it. And until next time, it's been Big Pup.